Hello and welcome back to the Blues Focus podcast. Tonight I'm joined with Jamie. Unfortunately, there's no Zach tonight. Or fortunately, depending on where you stand with Zach. Yeah, we're talking tonight about the Burnley game, the Hull game, and the Boro game. We've also got a mini segment with Blues Trust with Linda Magna and a certain person who you might have seen before on a couple of my blogs, my dad. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. It's not a really positive podcast to talk about. Burnley first. Do you want to go for that? Talk about how bad that game was as well.
Yeah, I suppose. Like we said, it's a very, very fucking humbling week as a Birmingham City fan. We started into Tuesday, was it? We've been in that week between Christmas and New Year. Tommy, was it Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday, weren't it?
Yes,
Wednesday?
I think so. Because it was
Tuesday.
27th, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
We could have gone fifth. We respected them far too much. We are the team that have conceded the goal the earliest in the championship now, I think, after that.
Hmm.
Was it 49 or 51 seconds?
Yeah.
We didn't really do anything, did we? We tried. We puffed. Poor Troy ran around up top and tried everything he could. But I think this week, more than anything, showed us how much we fucking miss Scott Hogan.
Amazingly, yeah. Because it's considering what a bad season he had last season as well.
Yeah. If you say Troy out of the let's for example Troy had 20 headers he had to try and win from goal kicks or long balls to him. I think Troy won at least 15.
Hmm.
He did his
Yeah.
job really well. He held the ball up really well. And Hogan is around him. And it's not Chong's fault. He's not a natural striker. But there was, especially at Burnley, there must have been 20 to 30 yards apart all game.
Mm. What do you think Hogan, why do you think he's out? Is it because of an injury? Is it because of a potential contract clause? Is there anything else that possibly could be
I
why?
hope to God it's just an injury and a
Mm.
very quick, I hope there's no financial difficulties causing us an issue here. Because that man is, I'm scared we're going to get pulled into a relegation battle. I really am.
There's a
I think,
possibility. There's a very strong possibility.
yeah. I think Burnley you have to write off as well. Don't get me wrong, they are a class team. And I think they're going to go up champions. And it's very clear why company's got. I hated to say you were right, Tommy, when you said last week they've gotten better since they've played us. And I thought we had as
Yeah.
well, but they exploited Longello on that wing, and he's young, he's trying, but they just pressed on that wing all game. Every time they went up Maxine's side, they got tackled, and we had the ball back.
I only think that is why, though, because of their stability compared to us. I know that
Hmm.
Burnley aren't the most stable team in the Championship off the pitch. But you consider us, like the players that we've had to keep on playing consistently this season. We're asking Manny Longella, regardless of what your opinions of him are. I know that Jamie's isn't the best here, but like he's still a young kid. He's 22, and trying to get him to play every game of the season, every minute of the season as well.
Hmm.
Players like Trusty haven't missed a minute this season.
No.
It's so demanding, and I feel like with Burnley, they've at least got some squad rotations that allow players who are at the best of their game, best of their football at that time, the options and the abilities to rest for a bit.
I actually said after the Burnley game, I'm going to defend Longello a little bit here. I said I would like to see Longello. He reminds me of who'd be really good in a 4-4-2 as the left midfielder
Hmm. I can
because then
see
he
your
doesn't have
opinions
to
on that.
come
Yeah.
back as much, but he's all right going forward.
Yeah, there's the issue that you can face though with because I was talking about this earlier, but I was thinking maybe we instead for the Borough game, I know we're jumping out there, but we play Bakuna at right back or right wing back, and
Hmm.
then we can almost rotate the midfield a bit more then because we can play players like James and Manny Longello a bit further forward. I know it's a big positional change in the very early, very mid-season change, but it's worth giving it a try at least because we're playing such anti-football in these last two games, like the lumping it forward. Mark Roberts' passes have just been something just so abysmal. They've just been awful to watch. I don't even dislike him. I feel like he's good at what he does. He's good in the air. He can
Aerially, he's
put
great.
he can put a good challenge in. But he's just not good with his feet though, and you can't pass the ball properly. And
And it's not his fault, he's one of them old school centre halves, isn't he? You can't score from Rose Ed kind of motion. Like you get the ball, he's your Sunday league footballer, he's sending it that way, and that is fine. 90%. 90% of the teams in the championship, that's cool. If you got
mm,
Lucas Jukovic on the pitch with Dini, fine, do that every day of the week, whatever.
mm,
But he's also, and don't get me wrong, I love that Roberts tries and I love what he gives to this team aerially. Stop with the long throw bullshit because it never works for
Yeah.
a start. We didn't even pose a threat with it the other day. Fuck me, stop trying to ping out wide like you fucking can. Jesus Christ, like I
Leave
counted at
that to
least six
Austin
times.
Trusty.
6 times against Hull, I think it was. He tried to find Colin, and 6 times it was a fucking throw into Hull. I was like,
Yeah,
please stop
it was
trying to play
painful at some
football.
points.
He's the
And
only player that gives me heart palpitations. I think didn't he like he picked up the ball the other day, wasn't looking and turned the other way, and he did skin the striker. But I was like, oh my god, like please. If you're Ruddy watching this, you must be like, fuck me, like
yeah,
yeah. And I think that's Ruddy's experience coming out as well and saying, listen, like he's gonna cost us a goal at some point. I can only
hmm
do so much.
yeah,
Help me.
and that's evident really because technically Hull scored 2 goals
He,
on Friday night, wasn't it?
he was off though on the first. He was
He was,
100%
but the
off.
ball did end up in the back of the net. And
Hmm.
for argument's sake, and I know that again, hypothetically, if that goal had stood, then Ruddy's at fault for none of them because both of them, he's helpless with them. The front post goal that they do score, Robert should clear the ball, and then the second goal the first goal that was ruled out. Nobody's picking him up. It's ridiculous. Those things that
I'm
really.
willing to not even blame a defender for the whole goal. I'm willing to blame Bakuna. What the fuck was he doing?
Yes, he gave the ball away, didn't
Like,
they?
it was in such a like such a silly way to give the ball away as well. Because he wasn't. I know he's getting a bit of pressure in the back.
Yeah.
You got Dion's there.
hmm
Just give the ball to Dion.
Yeah. Who's also injured now, isn't he?
Yeah. You ready for a Blues Focus Jamie Lawler exclusive? I want
Hot
Lecco
take.
to start tomorrow.
Okay.
I
Why?
want some because poor Troy needs someone who's pacey and can play up front with him tomorrow.
hmm
You're telling me Lecco has one good thing about him. He's fucking rapid. And you're
He
telling
is.
me one of them Troy flicks, if Lecco runs onto it, he's through. At
hmm
some point, he's got to score.
His attitude has never been in doubt. He's always
No.
had the ability to think. No, sorry. He's always had the drive and the will to do well. It's
Yeah.
just that his ability sometimes lets him down.
I've actually slated him that much. I now want him to do well. That's the thing. Genuinely, I'm now at the point where I'm like, our season might potentially come down to Jonathan Lecco getting form.
Being a nuisance, yeah. I feel
Because
like
he is
that's.
a nuisance. You can see
hmm
that. Like, look, them 5 minutes against Hull. That left back was fucking hating his life at the end of the game.
It
He
was,
was
yeah.
fuming because he was like, the fuck's this? Everyone questioned it. Why is he taking Maxine Con off for Lecco? But to be fair, he was our most creative player when he came on.
He was, yeah, and that cross he put in for Ruddy was decent actually because he was in the box after the ball came in for a corner. Then sort of, if I can remember it rightly, he sort of made the run to the outside of the box, didn't he? He made a very just suddenly gone out the side. I
Yeah.
thought that's a great little run that is because nobody's picked him up there, and he put a decent cross in. And it was on Ruddy's head. He put it in a dangerous area. So more of that. And if he continues to do that, somebody's bound to score one, and he'll get an assist, and then he might pick up them up. He might just pick them up. And that's how form works really sometimes. It's
I
worth
think we
thinking
might
about.
we might see a back four tomorrow. I think if Dion's
Mm.
out, I think we might have to see a back four tomorrow.
In terms of well, actually, I'll reverse this question and sort of alternate it a little bit. Do you think Lecco will start?
I think he's got every chance to.
Do you not think Duke might instead?
I just don't see Eustace playing two big shithouses up front. I think
Yeah.
Eustace is very much in that big little man kind of striker format. If you're going to play a two, there's no point. And don't get me wrong, I love Lucas Djukovic as much as I love Troy Deeney, and I think they both give a lot to this team.
hmm
But who the fuck they both going to? They're not going to flick it onto each other.
Just be
Do
like
you know
to
what I
me, to
mean?
you, to me, to
Do you
you.
know what I mean? Like they're not going to flick it to each other.
No,
And Chong doesn't have a forward running in when he's trying to run onto flick-ons.
he's better at taking players on from deep, isn't
Yeah,
he? That's what his role is. That's why he's been a midfielder for us, isn't it? He's not a striker. And
move back. If you're going to do it, do it.
there's differences between being a striker and being a forward as well. So like you can play out on the wide and give the options in from the middle, but scoring goals is what makes you a striker, really. That's why you are what you are, really. So
I'm hoping Friend starts tomorrow.
it might be, yeah, I doubt that will be the case. I feel George Friend is more on the,
So do I, but who else have we got if Sanderson's out?
yeah, it's a worry, isn't it?
Maxine moves in.
We still do have two centre backs open.
Josh
So
Williams.
Josh Williams would be a very good shout. Yes, it would.
Maxine moves in. Josh Williams in. But I
Hmm.
think Manny needs a rest.
Yes.
I know contractually people have to play sometimes, but I think Jordan Graham comes in at left wing back. I
Hmm.
think Josh Williams goes in at right wing back maybe. And you know what? That might give us a bit more emphasis because one thing we haven't been able to do, and it's not Maxine's fault, it's not Manny's fault. Our team's been so defensive the last couple of games, maybe because of fatigue.
Hmm.
Maybe we just need some fresh blood at them wing back positions and just get up that fucking pitch. Because I thought Graham was all right against Hull when he came on.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong, I might look like a complete utter fucking moron here, and tomorrow he's probably just going to play the same 11. But I hope to Jesus that Manny deserves a rest more than anything because that kid
Mhm.
is exhausted.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, it's
know,
very true.
but the whole game was the whole game. Probably one of the most piss poor attacking wise we had. It was awful. Like poor Troy was running his heart out up there. Chong was actually running about a bit more like a centre forward with him. But I think Hull were a bit dirty as well. And I think the ref was, I'm going to sound like such a stereotypical Birmingham fan here, but I think the ref had a fucking appalling game.
Yeah.
There was one point where you jumped up for a header and there was three players grabbing on him and the ref did shit all about it. I was
That's
ah,
just Djukovic for some reason. I don't
like,
know why he never ever gets free kicks given to
like, is this handsome bastard be caught with every official's wife or something? Is this like some?
him.
Is there some
He
like
probably has. He's a
anti?
smooth mover, isn't he?
Is there some anti-Duke stigma or something in the EFL? Because that poor bastard gets
Uh,
reefed down so much. At one point, he jumped off a header. I could literally see because I was behind where he was sitting. His
mm,
shirt is like that in the back, getting pulled. The liner is right there, and Yuki's going like that, and the liner just looks and goes,
yeah,
"What?"
there was a couple of times that night actually, wasn't there? There was the corner at the end. I think that was a Lecco cross as well. Actually, like I'm saying, he did well when he come on. But it was obviously such an obvious corner, and they're both looking at each other on this closest side to me, looking at each other. I'm like, you just don't know, do you? You just don't know what that is. It's like, like come on, for fucking hell's sake, just go and give
Austin
a
got fouled
decision.
for a pen, I thought as well. Austin got clipped. I think it was Trusty as he was coming outside the box,
Was it
like he was
first
running
half
towards the
or
edge of the
the?
box. That was Bakuna, I think.
Yeah, that one was a
Chong
possible
got
penalty.
when Deeney had the volley and we
Mm.
nearly scored, but Chong got took down the box. He got fucking impeded. It's obstruction.
It was in the back, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the guy, one in the back, but there was also someone in front of him. He was sandwiched.
Mm.
What?
Yeah.
Like, there's
I
about two
think,
or three decisions where you could have said potential penalties.
yeah. I mean, they were weak, let's be honest, but they were
Weak, but have
potential, yeah.
have we seen them given?
Yes, absolutely.
If that was
100%.
given against us, would you have been like, yeah, it was a pen?
No, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
That's the issue.
completely.
Like, fucking officials.
Just no consistency, is there? And that's
No,
what frustrates most people when it comes to referees, is the fact that there's one rule for one person, one rule for one team, one rule for the other, it feels like. Which obviously isn't true, but it does definitely feel like that, particularly when you've constantly been getting it for the last God knows how many years Lucas Djukovic has been playing for us.
I mean, Baka seemed to come down with a hard case of Hannibal Elitis as well. He got a yellow card and was diving in. I was like,
Mm.
no.
He had a bad game against Hull, I thought, Bakuna. He
I think
just,
he had a good 5 minutes at the start of the second half.
mm.
He was doing some nice little flicks and tricks, but then died off again.
Yeah, he's very like that, isn't he? As a player, I think he's quite close to being like a Ravel Morrison, isn't he? He's got all the ability, but sometimes his attitude can let him down. But if obviously he's not as bad as Ravel Morrison because he's obviously got a little bit of composure to him. You can see that because he's still a good championship player. But you can see where he can get frustrated with himself or
I'm
where he
worried we're going
loses
to
his
lose him.
interest in the game.
I think we're going to lose him.
Yeah, we'll get onto that bit in the next bit of the segment. Earlier, I spoke to the Blues Trust with Linda and my dad, surprisingly enough. So this is what this segment and what they had to say. Okay, so I'm joined with Linda and also my dad, Paul Kelsall, who are here to talk about the Trust and some of the things that they've got going on at the moment. So welcome both of you to this little segment in the podcast. We'll come just sort of like a first little question. What's the Trust all about?
I see it as sort of keeping an eye on what Birmingham City Football Club are up to and making sure that the supporters are actually being heard and listened to. We've got quite a bit of legal stuff that we do, sort of trying to get the asset of the community value on the ground. Some say it's not a very strong thing to have, but it's better than nothing. Retain our heritage of Birmingham City.
I suppose we've got a vision, haven't we? We've got a vision and a mission of what the trust's all about. So I've got the vision was written down. It's obviously to be a representative and influential voice for all supporters at Burnley and City. So I think that's kind of important, isn't it, really, that as a supporter base, I think we need a sort of a collective voice. And the stronger that voice is, the more the club has to take notice of that voice as well. So we've got various supporter groups across the club, which is great, and they all do a fantastic job in their own different ways. I guess the trust is, like Linda says, has done more things around the sort of the legal side of things and protecting the club's reputation and making sure the club is on track with many things. And they've played a really, really significant part in the government's review of football, fan-led review of football. And obviously, if there is an introduction of a regulator, some an office that will look after football's best interests in the future, then the Blues Trust has played a major part in getting that to be actually part of a legal framework. And like Linda says, the community asset, making sure the stadium is a community asset, and then that's so important as well, because even though it can change ownership, it can never be changed away from being actually for what its intention is, which is a football ground.
Sticking with you, Dad, we discussed this a little bit on the vlog itself, and Linda, you've also been in the Blackpool vlog as well, doing your little predictions before the game. But yeah, Dad, you did the bits on the car park and bits around the ground, talking to people, and getting to know what they think of the club. And handing out business cards as well, talking about the Blues Trust. What's your aims with that?
Well, I think it was really important. I mean, Linda will probably be able to give you more on this as well, really, than I can in some ways. But I always felt, like I say, all the good work that the Trust does sometimes goes a little bit unnoticed. And I think it's important that we put a face to some of the things that we do and get out and speak to people. So I've just been pushing us to maybe make sure that we just go out and start to speak to supporters and find out what they know about us. And the easiest way for us to do that was to actually just turn up on match days and just get out and start talking to people.
Yeah, just say that it's nice for them to be able to put a face to us as well for the club.
Yeah, exactly. And that's important. I mean, some of the interesting conversations that I've been having with supporters on the obviously on the car park on the walk up to games has been that, really, that sometimes some people are aware of what the Trust has done, and sometimes they're not even aware that there even is a supporters group. So you've got these two extremes, really, where you've got people who are quite engaged and people who are really not as well.
Spoken on other shows as well, trying to get membership. People seem to be reluctant to join, and for £5 for a whole year, it isn't that bad, really. And for people to be able to vote on things for Birmingham City, for the best, I think it's a really important thing to do.
What certain things could they vote on then?
Yeah, well, on the fan-led review for a start, probably. It's not so much a vote as an input with that. We reached out to everybody on that and asked, what do you want to do? What would you like to see? What would you want to do? And we collated every single reply we had. And that was the basis of the fan-led review. Board trust members, and if ever we needed to make major decisions, then we'd want votes on that as well to make sure which way we went and whether we were doing the right thing for our supporters. The main place to look at what we're doing and our jobs and everything else is on www.bluestrust.org, and that's our main website. So that will have everything on. The social media sites are mainly, just merely a way of communicating locally, but it hasn't got any in-depth information there. So www.bluestrust.org is the place to go to have a look, and it's where you can also join as well.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming on. It's been a very good one talking to you. Hopefully you can come back on sometime later in the season as well. Give us a quick update about what's going on and what you want to keep on doing. And back to the podcast. So yeah, thank you for the Blues Trust for coming on. It was nice to speak to them. Let's get on to the Boro game now.
I think we need to bounce back, and we're in shit form, and it's typical Birmingham City to be playing a team that are flying, and we probably will fucking win. And it's also annoying because I tried to get tickets, And like I said to you, I was on the phone to fucking Blues for 2 hours the other day, and they cut the phone off on me. So the
Oh,
line
man.
after 2 hours just cut out on me. So I haven't got a ticket for tomorrow. I'm also now working till 3 o'clock. Watch us win at the game I'm not going to be at, and I'm going to be happy but annoyed at the same time. I think 2-1 Blues. I think Troy scores because Troy's been playing well lately. He deserves a goal. And I think we just nick it somehow.
Mm.
I think we've got to perform. I think the fans will turn up. We'll try and get an atmosphere going. You know, it's actually a 3 o'clock kickoff for us for probably the first time in about 8 months.
Oh, God,
So,
yeah. I forgot about that.
no,
Jesus.
you know, we've got to turn up and go for it.
Yeah.
I think we'll push them. We'll play. I'm just very, very concerned about the starting 11, and I'm also very concerned. I know this is your next segment to talk about, but if we don't see Bielik or Hannibal in that starting 11 tomorrow, my heart is going to start pounding because I think I know what's coming.
And Hogan and Dean as well. You know, those players just sort of... Because I think I can accept that George Hall might leave, but only if we get 15 million for him, because that's just incredible.
Or 10 million loaning us back.
You could see that actually. Didn't we do that with Butland when he left
Yeah.
Stoke? Yeah, I thought that. Yeah. But as well, it's the other players for me like Dean and Hogan, and obviously with Bakuna and those type of players as well who might gain some interest from other clubs. I just hope that they're all in, really. You know, particularly Hogan, because he's the player who. Because what I'm trying to get at is why is he suddenly just gone from the team? There's been no injury update. There's been nothing in terms of rumours of like he might have a pay increase like Neil Etheridge and Harley Dean do after a certain amount of games. Like, why is he suddenly just out of the team? Like, it's bizarre for me. Like, I can understand it with Dean because we've known about this for a while. Because it's like pay increase, and so does Etheridge. That's why both of them aren't playing, or weren't playing at least. I just feel like and this is only a thought at the moment. So it's like, because the BSHL people obviously have decided to stay and Richardson and Lopez aren't now putting the money in. You know, that's why Harley Dean was back in the team, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing for Hogan now, and that's why they're both out of the team, because obviously they can't now pay the wages for them. I don't know. It's what basically what I'm trying to get at is why are they suddenly out of the team? And obviously with Hall, it's because we are going to get some money for him, even though that they said that they weren't going to sell him. It's like, why are they gone? Why? I don't understand it. It's really hurting my head. I don't know about you.
That's what I'm saying. Like Leko, Jukovic, and Dini are going to have to shoulder front the goal scoring capacity for Birmingham City here because there's every chance this could happen. We're going to get to a point where I think me, Zach, and you all said about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and midfield's our strongest fucking suit at the minute in terms of squad depth. It's about to become our weakest.
Yeah.
Very quickly, we're going to transform into a team that's playing JJ, Jobe, Gary Gardner, and Bakuna are going to be our only fit centre mids. We lose Bielik, we lose Hannibal. Chong's going to have to go more advanced and try and help out with the team.
He might go as like more of a forward role, wouldn't he? Yeah.
Alfie Chang's going to have to start coming in the team, which I like Alfie Chang. I think he's played well when he's played.
I like them all. It's just the responsibility that they might have to bear now.
Is Eustace going to be able to hold a back five, or are we going to have to... I quite liked it when we went 4-1-2-1-2 against Hull. I didn't agree with Hannibal at Cam when Bakuna was on the pitch, but I'm also not a football manager, as I've said many times, so I still like Eustace. I think he's great. But do not fucking get on this bullshit as well. I read a rumour today saying fans are unhappy with Eustace. I'm not unhappy with Eustace. No one is unhappy with Eustace. Fuck off with your foreign bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know who's coming. Eustace.
I don't know who said that. Where did you read that?
I was reading it. Where was I reading? I was just flicking through Facebook and I saw a little shit Facebook thing saying fans are not happy with Eustace. And who said that?
Just shits there, isn't they? I'm not even convinced half of them are Blues fans sometimes when they just
we got to Christmas looking at potential playoff push and people are crying. What?
We should be where Wigan are at the moment. Like we should be stone dead bottom of the table, considering the people's opinions at the start of the season. And I was convinced myself that we were going to get relegated this season, but considering where we are now, you know, like it's a miracle of what's happened. Really, to be quite honest.
Shall we talk about the potential fuckery of our team, like where we could be? Because the rumour mill today is spinning.
Yeah, there's a lot, isn't there? So there was Dion Sanderson to Rangers. Hannibal's been interested by 2 French clubs, Marseille and Monaco. Who else was there? There was
Bielik,
George
West Brom.
Hall and yes, Bielik for West Brom.
And Maxine's now in the last 6 months of his contract.
Mm-hmm. There is a big issue that we are facing as an on-field team again, where a lot of the issues previously have been off the pitch with the owners and everything. And we're coming back round now to where the fucking players are now the big issue. So
the other thing that annoyed me, I read today saying Birmingham City are trying to make the Dion Sanderson deal permanent now. What money? What fucking money? What money is this being brought out of the air? Like, unless we're convinced George Hall's going and we're going to try and use that to sign Dion.
We've done that before, though, haven't we? We thought that Jack Butland was going to Liverpool and we'd get that sell-on clause. We then went ahead and bought Christian Pedersen, and then the fucking deal didn't go through. And then we had the financial fair play season where we lost 9 points. We could have lost 21 points.
I'm telling you right now, Ivan Sunjic has never looked so appealing. I know, but what else have we got at the minute? If we lose these boys, and worst case scenario for us right now is this, Tommy. We're going to lose George Hall. Bellingham's even being fucking linked with Newcastle from what I've been reading for 10 mil or something.
I mean, if there's the price tag that I'm only interested in, because like again with Hall, if he does go for 15 million, then I can accept that. If he goes for 1.5 on the other end, then for fuck's sake, that's just ludicrous. That is.
Didn't we sell Dimmy for basically that? I think it was 1.75 or something ridiculous.
I think it was a fair bit, but the money we should have got for him was ridiculous. Yeah, right. I can't remember how much it was now.
So you're potentially losing Hall, Bellingham, Bielik, Hannibal, Backer could always. There's a potential Backer could go as well.
Yeah,
we are in shit streak.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to literally have JJ, Ivan Sunjic, who's technically registered but on loan, Alfie Chang. Gary Gardner needs to hurry the fuck up and please, for the love of Christ, get back to fitness.
Another player who's just gone out of the team, just out of nowhere. I understand he's injured, but still no sign of recovery anytime soon.
Like you said, Austin hasn't had a minute away from the pitch yet, I don't think.
Yeah, and this as well, it's the form as well of these players that have been playing well. They could potentially slip off, couldn't they? Mm-hmm. It's Austin Trusty has been fucking phenomenal since he come in.
I don't think he's put a foot wrong.
I can't, apart from the penalty he gave away against Stoke, that's the biggest error that I can think he did all season. Yeah. But, considering how many games we've still got left to play, how many do we have left? We've played 25. Oh, God, this is where my maths
21.
Is the ball in. 21, that's it, yeah. So we've got 21 games still left to play.
Quick math.
Right, big Shaq. Yeah, so, are we expecting him to play those last 21 games? And if he does, is he going to keep up the same form that he has clearly been in the whole season? A lot of what I'm thinking there says no, because nobody can. Nobody can play. How many minutes must that be? 46 games, the whole 90 minutes.
46 times 90.
It's about.
I'll figure it out. Just keep waffling. I'll figure it out.
It's ridiculous, though, isn't it? It's roughly about. It's so about 4,500.
4,500 minutes would be 50 games, so you're taking away 360 from that.
So 4,140 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's running around throughout the whole time, and he's putting challenges in at very top form as well. It's not going to be possible. No way. It's the squad depth as usual is just always the thing that ruins the second half of the season for us, because there was times last season towards the end of the season where obviously we had Hernandez, Taylor and Bacuna come in. But even then, there was gaps all over the pitch. That's why Hernandez had to play at left wing back, which who on earth would play Hernandez at left wing back? It's ridiculous, And we're doing the same thing now where we're now having to resort to putting Jordan Graham at right wing back or left wing back, who isn't a defender. He's a forward player like Chong is. Yeah. It's not very optimistic, is it?
No, it's a difficult time to be a Birmingham City fan, but we can only live in hope. That's all we've got at the minute. What's your prediction for tomorrow, by the way?
I'm going 2-1. Deeney and who else could I go for? Because I agree what you said earlier. It's very Blues to go and win, isn't it? After having a terrible run of form and everything looks like we're going to go disaster.
Lecco.
Lecco, yeah. If he starts,
Ah.
of course. You know what? I'm going to go Mark Roberts. Why not? Get a big thumping header at the back post.
Yeah, just try not to miss it when it's a sitter.
I mean, I can't see us keeping a clean sheet, though. That's one thing.
No,
Even
I
though how
can't
good
at the
John
minute.
Ruddy is.
Oh yeah, and that was a point I was going to make about Ruddy earlier, and I forgot to say it. Like, we haven't conceded a goal yet where I've turned around and gone, "Fuck me, Ruddy could have got to that."
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
like
no, I
when you
completely
usually can
agree.
blame the keeper for a couple of goals.
Mm. Yeah, there's been none of that this season, as he's been solid.
Tough week as a Birmingham fan. Potential our squad's about to get gutted. But we just have to live in hope at the minute and just pray that. Let's be honest. Every season we do this. In January we pull off some ridiculous loan signing or something. So Blues could probably got something up the sleeve here that we don't know about, and that'd be great. This could be the blessing in disguise where Eustace has to do a formation change. It could change the season. A lot of things could happen here. You know, we're looking pessimistic at the minute and we're hating it, but we have to live in some hope that somewhere this is going to turn the season.
Mm-hmm.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah, something has to happen. Otherwise, it looks like we're in trouble, doesn't it? Because the teams below us are even starting to win as well now. Because was it Cardiff? Did they win? No,
No, they lost 1-0.
Yeah. Who won today that was below us? Oh no, Blackpool. They drew actually. That's a relief. I thought they'd beat Sunderland. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so we currently sit 16th at the moment on 32 points. The bottom three is Blackpool, Huddersfield, and Wigan. Blackpool are on 26, so that's 6 points, if I'm not wrong. I'm thinking, yeah. So these next two games could really play like a big part in how we see the future, the rest of the season. So we've got Middlesbrough and Bristol City next, and then the teams like below us. Watford have got Blackpool on the 14th, and then Blackpool. Next game they've got Watford and Huddersfield. So I don't think we need to worry about slipping into the bottom three just yet, but we could potentially get closer to there in terms of points. We might not move in terms of position, but the gap might get closer, so it might go from 4 instead.
This is the issue, though, isn't it? It's how quick it can happen,
and it can go either way as well. And that's the real worry for me, because like if we win tomorrow afternoon, sorry, so used to saying that at the moment.
I know, all night games.
I know, it's fucking been ridiculous. But if we win tomorrow afternoon, I just feel like we might get this false sense of hope, because we've got Bristol City afterwards, who, I mean, they were terrible when they came to us, but again, this sort of how we've developed and how they've developed over the course of the season. Clearly, when we saw that against Burnley, who were, let's be honest, were not the team that were at St Andrews whenever it was in October.
They changed formation though as well. The bastards, I noticed that.
And we weren't, and we're not the team that we were in October either, because we don't have Hogan anymore. We don't have that real good fighting ability to do it anymore. It's like the form has just gone out the window because so much has changed. I feel like, this is where we're heading now.
Yeah,
it's going to be a difficult ride.
But hopefully next week when we're back on doing this pod and we're uploading, we're a bit more smiley and happier. We're trying to keep the faith, guys. We really are.
It's all karma for the bit in the middle bit of the season, wasn't it? I can't remember what 3 games it was. Did we have a really amazing run of form, and it was like, bloody hell, another winning podcast? It's like, no, this can't last.
Me, we won again.
I know. It's just going to do the opposite now, isn't it? We're just going to be like, yeah, we lost again. All right, let's talk about this. Yeah, this has pretty much been the podcast. So hopefully you've enjoyed. God, I can't speak tonight. Hopefully you've enjoyed. We'll be back after the Boro game tomorrow afternoon. I nearly said tomorrow night again. But yeah, thank you very much, Jamie, for joining me.
No worries, Mash.
Zach will be back hopefully next week. Or on it's Monday tomorrow. Yeah, so technically it's next week. So hopefully we'll have the episode out on Tuesday. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Fingers crossed for 3 points, and keep right on.
You're on.